What made you realize that most people are not very smart? As a child, I was fascinated by animals. Once, I was talking with my friend about how fast peregrine falcons can attack. His father interrupted and made fun of me by saying, "Have you ever stuck your hand out the car window? You're saying a bird can fly faster than that? That would blow their feathers off." That's when I realized that even adults can be blithering idiots. Several years ago, I was visiting a zoo. I was walking into the burrowing owl exhibit as a couple with a toddler was walking out. As I walked past, I overheard the following. Mom to child. "What animals did we just see?" Child. "Owls that live in the ground." Mom. "Birds don't live in the ground, silly." Visiting a zoo will disappoint you, as you overhear parents say really dumb things to their kids. If only there was a sign that explained everything your kids needed to know about the pig exhibit. Wild boar. Peer reviewing essays in college. It's hilarious because people tell you before you get to college to not expect any slack, but the teachers always have to, because the expectations are set so low by the students. The curve in my stats class was so exaggerated that a 30% on the final was a B-. When I was a teenager and worked a cash register, my brother used to work as a cashier at a grocery store. Every day he would get destroyed by old people trying to use expired coupons for like 5 cents, or coupons from different stores for not even what they were buying. It would sometimes be for a penny difference, and these people would lose it on him and wish death upon his family. I worked at a car wash for my last job. People would come on and try to use a coupon for something like 20% off one of our washes. It expired by at least a week, sometimes a month or more. "What do you mean it's expired? I just pulled that out of the paper." Okay, it expired on 9/15, not on 9/15 or whenever you get around to clipping it. In the 3rd grade, I got points off of a test because my teacher thought a shark was a mammal. When I got my test back with the points deducted, I showed her an encyclopedia entry showing they weren't mammals. She sent me to the principal's office to have him set me straight, and he also believed that they were mammals and refused to review any evidence that said otherwise. I had to go to the library and pull multiple books on sharks before they begrudgingly acknowledged the mistake. I probably learned more from that experience than from the entire year in the classroom. One of my earliest memories was needing to pick a word that started with K in senior kindergarten, and me choosing kelp because I learned it from a Magic School Bus episode. I think it was a pretty foundational lesson in my life, how no one in the class, including the teacher, believed that it was a real word. One time, I was sitting on a subway in Washington, D.C. The guy in front of me was probably in his late 20s, was on his phone. He was one of those people who talks on speaker in public places, so I could hear the whole conversation. Anyway, the person on the phone with him was clearly a scammer. They had an accent I couldn't place and was asking for personal info. So the scammer says, "Hello, this is a representative from Google. There is a security risk in your Google wallet. It appears someone tried to log into your account. To fix this issue, please verify it's you with your credit card number and security code." At this point, I was expecting this guy to hang up and go about his day, but instead, a look of worry comes across his face, and he says, "It's those darn idiots at the bar again," and pulls out his card. I looked up, and just before he started speaking to the scammer, I said, "Hey dude, it's a scam, just hang up." This dude looked right at me and said, "Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Someone might get my credit card information if I don't do this." In pure amazement, I sat back down and let him proceed. He continued to read the scammer his credit card number and security code on speaker in a crowded subway. When he was finally done with the whole thing, the scammer says, "Thank you for your cooperation. In 7 to 10 business days, we will get back to you regarding the security breach." The guy said thanks and then hung up. And no joke, the person right next to him said, "Wow man, that could have been bad. Good thing you verified your credit card, huh?" I just sat in pure dumbfounded amazement for the rest of the ride, while the guy just sat across from me thinking nothing of it. It's those darn idiots at the bar again. What is the backstory here? Probably a card skimmer. We caught a guy doing that blatantly in front of customers. Fired, and then the local police arrested him. The moment the toilet paper aisle was empty at the start of the pandemic. In our local store, it only became empty after the news headlines about Americans stockpiling toilet paper. It was fine before that. Also, even before COVID, when there was a snowstorm coming, people stocking up on toilet paper like they expected to be snowed in for a couple months. Working a client-facing job. Also, a lot of people at high-level positions can't write or do basic maths or rely on lower roles to do it for them. I'm amazed sometimes that my boss, 50-something, has kids, built up numerous companies from nothing to massively successful. This man cannot write. He has an 8-year-old's level of vocabulary, and his spelling and punctuation are below even that. His reading's a bit better, but doesn't use big words. This man at one point was the head of 60 people. He was making huge profits and he's barely literate. It's crazy. Why does one waste time saying a lot of words when few words do trick? I was a server back then and a lady complained. Not the lady who ordered the dish. After her colleague ate the dish that I should have told her our Cobb salad uses iceberg lettuce instead of romaine lettuce. I said, I don't understand why I would tell you if it says it in the description when she ordered it. See? Iceberg lettuce? The lady told me I still should have mentioned it. I had an attitude at that point and said, oh, well, her bowl is empty. She could have said something. This was just one of many. What do you mean the steak I ordered is red meat? It doesn't say that anywhere, and I'm vegan, so I'm offended. I once had to deal with this in a pub. I was in the kitchen and got an order for a beef burger with cheese. The person at the till had to select beef or chicken. The two girls I served it to said, yes, that's us, when I arrived with the food saying 2 beef burgers with cheese. Then, they are all but one bite in and complained to the manager saying that they ordered a chicken burger and eating beef was against their religion. This was really basic food, not a burger with 12 toppings needing a skewer to hold it in place, just literally a bun, burger, and cheese. It was easy to see from the side if it was beef, not chicken. I used to do studies to see if prescription medicines can safely switch to over-the-counter. All people had to do was read the directions and warnings on mock-up packaging for the medicines and then answer the questions I asked them. I interviewed people who could straight up die if they took this medication due to pre-existing conditions. 90% failed to take in the warnings placed all over the box and responded that they would take the medication if it were available to them. I interviewed people with master's degrees and PhDs who still said they would take it. Most people, even smart ones, are idiots. I think this one stems from people misunderstanding pharmaceutical activity. It's not something that is really taught to people, and I only came to understand it once I started taking drugs. I work in pharmaceutical production, and many people will cringe at the thought of handling all sorts of chemicals, like solvents and stuff. I'm happy to handle all sorts of solvents, things unstable in air, peroxide formers, etc. It's been heavily ingrained in me that chemical's bad, and I automatically act accordingly. The things that make me nervous are the API, active pharmaceutical ingredient, materials after they're made. Usually just plain-looking white powders. They're specifically designed to make the human body work differently, and many can be absorbed in a myriad of ways without even knowing until it's too late. But not its drums of hexanes that sound scary to people outside the industry. Working retail and been asked the same questions by the same people multiple times while standing next to a sign with the same info printed on it. Are you having a sale? They say, surrounded by items on racks with big red sale signs attached to them in a shop with huge sale signs so large they block the light from the windows. Well, to be honest, you can't be sure that it's not the stupid store that kept the sale signs after the sale ended. Knocks on locked shop door. Are you open? And 1,000 other variations during my time in retail. This isn't stupidity, it's selfishness. They know the door is locked for a reason. They just think they're special, and maybe you'll open the door just for them. Anytime I see people arguing in a store or restaurant about something that is clearly a corporate decision and over which the poor employee has no control, that is what truly limited intelligence looks like. When I was a teenager, I worked at a big box retailer. Every Sunday the ad would come out. Every Sunday we didn't have most of the crap in the ad. And every Sunday I'd get lectured by customers about bait-and-switch advertising and corporate mortality. I actually found the best comeback for this was basically, "Sir, I'm 17 years old and making $5.50 an hour." This was the 90s. Do you think I have any control over this? Most everyone I said that to had the realization that, yeah, it's a waste of time to even address this issue with me. I just found out that at my store, every time the new sales ad comes out, she visits to dig through the store for anything improperly labeled so she can get it for free. Anything that is on sale but doesn't have a new tag on it rings up as if it weren't on sale, so we have to give it away. It must take her over an hour, and her haul isn't really that big. When I had to deal with it, she only got away with like less than $10 worth of free stuff. 2 years into the pandemic and people still wear their masks under their nose. There is a guy in my office who constantly wears his mask under his nose. Masks are not required in my office. We have mandatory vaccination. I truly do not understand his thought process. He wants to feel like he's taking precautions without actually taking precautions for self-fulfillment. The entirety of 2020 and 2021? Seriously, I've worked in retail and in restaurants and I've complained about stupid people, though I'm pretty good at understanding how and why people do stupid things and try to be super understanding as long as they're not being belligerent about it. But these last 2 years, just no. No. Working in accounting has you talking to people from the bottom of the command chain to the top. and at every level people are dumb. It's remarkable that anything ever gets done. When I was self-employed, I think my accountant hated me and thought I was an idiot. I was really worried he would fire me. Really good accountants. After we got Google and the internet became popular, we have all the information at our fingertips and people still choose ignorant fads. The internet is simultaneously one of the greatest and one of the most misused inventions of all time. The overlap between the smartest bears and the dumbest humans is considerable, according to park rangers designing trash cans to keep bears out, especially if they're smarter than the average bear. Hey, boo-boo? Working in an office. So many people lack very basic critical thinking skills and don't try to figure things out for themselves. I must get 10 Googleable questions a day. Many times I just respond with my Google results. Oh, this is exactly me as well. People think I'm the smart guy. I mean, I am smart, but I've even said that the answers they seek are available to them if they just search. People are lazy, and that laziness shows their lack of intelligence sometimes. I feel like I, a 35-year-old American male from upper middle-class suburbs, can add this perspective. I remember the advent of the internet. Dial-up tones, AOL discs, MySpace, Hotmail, Amazon only selling books, Facebook being .edu emails only. I also remember grown-up teachers preaching that the internet wasn't a reliable resource when having to write 7th and 8th grade research papers about whatever. Anyone can post anything on the internet. Fast forward a decade or two, and every boomer teacher I had is deep diving Facebook for medical information about what to put or what not to put into their bodies, and treating it as gospel. I'm fairly comfortable and secure in my intellect and knowledge base, but do you have any idea how still confusing that is? The 2016 US elections, even though I'm not American, and the pandemic. Also, not very smart is an overstatement, understatement. The level of ignorance, stupid selfishness, and idiotic beliefs I've seen, especially since the pandemic began, is absolutely depressing. That idiocy existed before the 2016 election and the pandemic. Those two major events amplified the idiocy to an unprecedented level, and all of it was brought to the news or social media, exacerbating the issues further. It's a self-perpetuating trash system. I worked as a docent in an aquarium. Our sea lion was at different times 1. A salamander, 2. A robot, 3. Bears, 4. Otters. The penguin wasn't flying because of the identification band. So many things. So the sea lion was 3 bears and 4 otters in a suit? Controlled by Skynet with lizard people technology. Seriously though, when one of the sharks was swimming by the surface above the guest, they asked why the other shark was swimming upside down above the shark. It was a reflection. The more I met people at work, there were people in high-ranking positions that are complete morons. This, and one person by themselves can be really intelligent, but put them in a group and they'll start acting dumb to fit in. Groupthink. Reddit. The complete lack of logical reasoning and critical thinking skills was all the evidence I needed. Also liked Agent K's comment. A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. Humans only have bounded rationality though. We're subject to our physiology, hormones and neurotransmitter dump that directly affect the way in which we reason. Agent K was spot on. I was looking at a box of pizza and it had a warning to open the box before eating written on it. Pretty sure claymores have do not eat on the back of them. It's not on the claymore itself, but the blasting cap has warned to not bite down on it. On top of that, any brief will show pictures of some dumbass who did that, and there will be constant warnings against biting down on it. Getting my first professional job. There was just as much high school level gossip in an upscale office as you'd find in an actual high school, yet these people were in their 40s. Gossip is something that all generations do. I was surprised as well when I left high school and all the adults were gossiping like it was a lunch break in high school. I started working in healthcare and realized that all the patients are idiots and we must tolerate them or else they get cranky. To be fair, when in pain or otherwise feeling unhealthy, you are genuinely less on top of things, and it can really make you loopy. Panic does a number too. That said, healthcare workers are for the most part a patient kind of hero. Speaking as someone who went through a bout of hypochondria and was treated with more respect than I deserved by medical staff, at the end of the day, the kindness helped the most. And I can imagine it's not always an easy job. The part about not being on top of things rings extremely true. I was once in ER due to bleeding after a biopsy. It was not too hard to get from the front door to the gynecological ER. The instructions had 4 steps, I think. I couldn't even parse them. I wasn't panicking, but my brain felt like the emptiest in my life. The nurse at the entry luckily noticed and walked me there. I used to work one-to-one with a child who has Down syndrome in a nursery. One of the other practitioners asked me if they would ever grow out of it. My brain still hurts thinking about it. As soon as we can shear this extra chromosome pair off, we'll get them up and running in no time, darling. When COVID happened, and everyone who barely passed 9th grade science suddenly knew more than doctors and scientists. But she read it on Facebook. She's done her research. People who seriously believe that Facebook and Telegram and social media in general are good and reliable sources to find information about a deadly virus are truly the most clueless people among humanity. Working in the customer service industry. I believe it should be mandatory for everyone to work in customer service for at least 2 years. I feel like the world would be a better place if that happened. More than half the people driving on the road are operating death machines without their lights on. They don't care about visibility or are ignorant of how to turn on their full lighting system. This is stupid. This is why daytime running lights and automatic headlights are a great thing. I would say that's what brought us here. When people had to consciously turn them on or off, they did. Now people are so accustomed to automatic lights that they have no idea how to or even if they should turn them on in a storm during the day. During Obama's inauguration, the TV ratings of the ceremony were outdone by Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. To be fair, it's not like the ending of the inauguration ceremony was in question. Every day, I think that people can't get any more stupid, and every day I'm proven horribly wrong. Working in a restaurant will do that for you. Guess who has a menu? What comes on the salad? Menu. Salad. Field greens, tomato, parmesan, balsamic. Me. Field greens, tomato, parmesan, balsamic. Guest. Is it gluten-free? People will legit look at a buffet pizza with pepperoni on it, read the sign on the glass that says pepperoni pizza, and then look you in the eye and ask, "Are these pepperoni pizzas?" without a hint of irony. Yep, as someone who worked for Pizza Hut for 13 years, this is so true. Do you have any cheese pizzas? They are all cheese pizzas. Just cheese? Yeah, there's a margarita pizza right there. Looks at the pizza. Which one? Internal screaming. That one right there in front of you with the green handle, with no additional toppings on it. Your versus your. Losing versus loosing. In all honesty, I've been on Reddit for a long time, and the Boston bombing is a great example of how stupid people are as an aggregate. Also, Reddit is extremely liberal, and being a moderate who is an Asian American, I get labeled as a Chinese shill whenever I point out how off people are about their Chinese hate, which is exactly what it is. Ignorance based on race used to justify broad assumptions with no actual basis in fact. They just want a reason to hate China, and as someone who experienced it in my entire childhood, I know what it looks like. The fact you are on the left doesn't change the fact that you are acting exactly like the hate mongers on the right. But I have to be a shill, right? If you're a liberal, there's a lot to hate about China. No respect for democracy, human rights, etc. The government is completely indefensible. Not that we don't have massive problems here, too. People who don't read everything on a coupon they are trying to use. Exclusions, expiration dates, minimum purchase amount, etc. And then argue when it's expired or unusable and we don't accept it. Customer. Well, any store takes expired coupons. Why don't you? Me. Because the coupon says it expired and the register denies the coupon. Customer. Let me speak to your manager. Me. Sure thing. Manager. Says the same thing I said. Customer. I should get an exception. I'm the most important customer here. Your coupons shouldn't expire anyway. Manager. They are our coupons and we make our own rules about them. You can search for another valid coupon, but no, you can't use this one. And no, we don't keep coupons in the store. Although most times the manager would just give them the discount. The best part, usually those coupons were for 20% off a $5 to $10 item and or a free item worth like $2. I worked at a company with a reputation for only hiring the smartest, brightest, most brilliant people on the planet. After being there a while, I looked around the room and went, hold up, and you realized you were one of them. I think what really drilled it home was when I started working in upscale hotels. People spend $6,000 a night on rooms that don't know how to open a door to get outside. I thought you had to be some level of smart to be rich, but no, it's just luck and who you know. The I did my own research crowd usually involves them searching soccer mom blogs and listing them as science. Working customer service. The average IQ of the public isn't even room temperature on a good day. Working a job that deals with the public. The amount of stupid questions I get on a daily basis is ridiculous. One time I was standing on a staircase and a customer comes up and asks directions from the bottom. To which I replied, "Yes, it's right up here to the left." And they proceed to ask how they get up there. Just walk up the stairs? The fact so many people vote for the same political party year in and year out, while never so much as considering another. What is the point of democracy if people don't consider their options every election? Meeting people from all walks of life and trying to experience a slice of that life. It's not stupidity, it's relevance. Most people don't see how what you think matters is relevant to them. I don't think it's necessarily a lack of intelligence for the most part. I may be wrong, but I remember reading somewhere that the average IQ worldwide is higher now than it was 50 years ago. I think a lot of it is simply ignorance and laziness. We tend to take the path of least resistance. Our brain likes shortcuts and simple answers, and the majority of us won't take the time to actually investigate things or try to really think critically about something. We've become too easily distracted and too easily manipulated, and I think laziness and ignorance are to blame. Oh yes, people are so much worse when they're in groups. Also, intelligent people tend to doubt themselves and will conform if enough people say something because they're smart enough to think, maybe I'm the one in the wrong. Conformity is weird because it's associated with stupidity, but really it's more like everyone, even smart people, conform, which leads to stupidity. It's why fire hosing is such a powerful misinformation tactic, and also why things like the Ash conformity experiment work so effectively. I know smart people who believe crazy crap, and that's because they are surrounded by stupid people in their environment, and their intelligence just gets snuffed out. It's like, why do so many people around me believe that the Earth is flat? I know it's round, but if this many of my friends believe it, maybe from their perspective, I'm the idiot. I mean, I believe that the Earth is round just as passionately as they believe it's flat. Maybe I'm not being open-minded enough? What's more likely, that I alone am right, or that the 95% of people screaming at me that it's flat are? I avoided political examples, but this sort of thing happens a lot with politics too. Every day when I get in my truck to drive somewhere, it used to be people driving like idiots during Christmas time, and the rest of the year was pretty okay. Then one year, a few years ago, people just never stopped driving like idiots. Thanks for watching until the very end. Be sure to stop by the channel, subscribe, and check out another video.